So good afternoon, good morning to everyone over there in both in Europe but also in Asia, particularly. And also in New Zealand. So especially thank you very much to colleagues from the city of Sydney who will support us today in the third thematic and the fourth general session of this webinar series we're having. As you know, this webinars training series is being implemented by the IURC program and the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, which is represented over here with Serena and Filippo, who you can see over there. And before going very much into detail of today's webinar, I just wanted to, first of all, express my gratitude to you all for being with us today. The session is going to last for about 60 minutes. And also we would like to just give a hint with regard to an upcoming event happening in Bandung already in 2 weeks' time. So I think Filippo may then afterwards maybe explain a little bit more about what we're going to be doing in Bandung over there. Yes, for us, maybe for the IURC program, is the topic of urban food systems is a very important one. It's one of the thematic clusters that we are developing along with other ones, like, for example, smart city, like, for example, mobility and so on. And the idea of this webinar series is to exchange best practices, challenges, and also to try to identify practical potential pilot areas for those cities which are participating in the IURC program, and also for others, like, for example, Sydney, maybe to jump into one of the pilot actions that we're trying to launch, in this case, with regard to the urban food systems. Just keep in mind that the IURC program in general is a huge network of cities, of over 130 cities in the Americas, in Asia, in Australasia, as well as in Europe, of course. And we're very happy for being here today, and thanks very much. And having said this, I would hand over to Filippo, I think, who may introduce us a little bit about both today's agenda and the topic of inequality and access to urban food systems. So, Filippo, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pablo, and good morning, everyone. If in the meantime, Serena, can you share the agenda in the can you share your screen with the agenda? So today is the day of social and economic equity, which is the third category of the Milan Pact, and so I will. After the introduction made by Pablo, I will go through this category and through the tool that the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact provided to this, the monitoring framework, the Milan Pact Awards, and the recommended action. After that, we will have some best practices from Europe, so a glimpse, let's say, from cases from Bergamo and from Paris. Bergamo is a small town in the northern part of Italy, which was the very first one affected by the pandemic outbreak in Europe. And then we will have a presentation from Andrea Magarini, who is the director of the food policy of Milan, on the Milan food aid system. Afterwards, we go through the experiences in Asia Pacific, and we will have a very interesting presentation on the Food Lab Sydney from our colleague Lauren and Jamie. It is, let's say, a great combination because the different projects, let's say the one from Milan, the one from Bergamo and Paris and Sydney, are, let's say, different, but within the category of social and economic equity. So I think it will be a very interesting mix. Afterwards, we decided to give the space to our colleagues from Bandung that will present the event that Pablo mentioned at the beginning, which is the first Asia Pacific Regional Forum of the Milan Pact, also under the umbrella of the Indonesian G20 presidency. So we will have Pakin Ginanjar, that is the head of the Food Security and Agriculture Department of the city of Bandung, that will explain you the project, which, by the way, is also strongly supported by the European Commission, and we are very, very happy for this. So this was the program, and then of course there will be the moment for Q&A. Let's now begin with. I will share my screen with the. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, that's great. So, as I mentioned, we will deal with social and economic equity today. Just a very brief introduction about for new people here. 2 words about the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. It's a global commitment of mayor because I think we have at least 1 new signatory city, 2 signatory cities at least here today, which are the city of Seberang Perai, Malaysia, so welcome on board, and the city of Quezon that signed the pact last week. So welcome, welcome to the colleague of Quezon.
Excuse me, Filippo, can I interrupt a little bit?
Yeah,
Chiang Mai is also here. Chiang Mai is also here.
Ah, wow, that's great. Okay, so I didn't. So welcome to the colleagues also from Chiang Mai. This is a great news, and we are very happy to have these 3 new cities that join the pact and also join the Asia Pacific policy training. Hopefully, they will also join the first regional forum in Bandung soon, and we can meet in person. Okay, so this is let's say a glimpse of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, which is a global committee of states that are working on food policies from all around the world. We are 240 cities, and we are divided in 6 different regions. Ours today is of course, it's the Asia Pacific. So in your case, your steering committee members that you have elected 2 years ago is the city for Asia Pacific is the city of Seoul and the city of Bandung. We are organizing the 8th Global Forum of all signatory cities in Rio that will happen from the 17th to the 19th of October, and we are going to organize in 2 weeks the event in Bandung. So let's move ahead. The pact is a platform, let's say, of cooperation and knowledge exchange among cities, and it's based on 37 recommended actions that are clustered in the 6 category, and this training is based on the 6 categories. So we have done, after the introduction, we have done governance, ready, sustainable diets, and you can find the recording on our and also the IRC website. If you are interested, if you missed it. And today is the day of social and economic equity. Let me mention that the next one, food production, which I think is very interesting for the region, will take place hybrid during the regional forum in Bandung. So you can attend, let's say, in person on the 3rd of August. Early afternoon, or you can follow us online. More has to come on that. So 3 tools for signatory cities. We have the recommended action that I mentioned, and now we will go through the social and economic equity 1, the indicators useful for monitoring the impact, and then the best practices from the Milan Pact Awards that Serena will mention you. Okay, so this is the first tool. The category, so the recommended action for the category social and economic equity. So you can see in the slide, and you can see immediately that are all the actions that are trying to address inequality and poverty related to food, and at the same time to use food as a tool for enhancing social protection through different modalities like food transfer, food banks, community food kitchens, also emergency food aid system like the one that quite I think everyone started, unfortunately, in the cities during the pandemic. So all the way in which we can use our food policies to support the fragile part of the population to be, let's say, involved in the social and economic life of our cities, fall in these categories. Let's go through it. So use cash and food transfer. So these are form of food, social protection, it's a food protection. So the one that I mentioned, like food banks, community food kitchens, and I think Andrea, so the Milan presentation will show some example, and also from Bergamo. So here the idea is to provide to vulnerable people the access to healthy food. Then we have reorient school feeding programs to provide food, healthy food, with also an attention to local source food and seasonal, so sustainable, let's say, procurement. So this is a peculiar, let's say, action here, because it can be also, let's say, in the previous category, so healthy diets. But the thing is that we see the school canteen service at the same time providing healthy diet, of course, but in many cases, and for a small part also in Milan, Andrea will mention about this. The school service is the tool that we have to guarantee at least once per day the access to healthy food for fragile children. Then going ahead, and this is the, let's say, the key action for the presentation from Sydney. So I lead to them this, but promote decent employment for all tools, food policies that we can implement to make our food system a source of good food job. Then encourage and support social and solidarity economic activities. So the idea here is to pay attention to all the related activities on food that are supporting our effort, let's say, the municipal effort. So this is also in connection, let's say, with the governance category, mapping the relevant stakeholder. In this case, is mapping the stakeholder that are supporting the municipality on food aid, and then promote networks that and support grassroots activities. So this one and the previous one are very connected. You can also see in this part the tools, the tool number 2, that is the monitoring framework that the Milan Pact developed with FAO and RUAF. It's a methodology, it's a glimpse, let's say, of a wider methodological guidelines to monitor, that cities can use to monitor the implementation of the recommended action. So you can see here the different indicators that are directly connected to the recommended action that I mentioned before. So I don't think we need to go through it, but if you have any questions, because I think I'm running out of time. If you have any questions, we can deal with this at the end. It's like a checklist that you can use to track your impact, and also to connect, let's say, your food policy to the SDGs. They understand your contribution, the local contribution towards the achievement of the SDGs. So here the QR code you can use to download the indicators, and if you have any questions, we will be happy to support you on using that data. It was also the monitoring framework was also strongly recommended for the submission of the Milan Pact Awards, and for sure there will be interesting workshop at the Global Forum on that. So we will provide you also some practical information during the Global Forum. I would now like to leave the floor to Serena with the tool Serena Duraccio, which is the officer of the Milan Food Policy Pact, that will talk about the tool number 3, which are the Milan Pact Awards. Thank you so much for your attention.
So good morning to everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Filippo. So we will go now a bit more in depth on the practices that as MUFPP we have collected over the years. As you know, the Milan Pact Awards are the most powerful tool for our cities to exchange knowledge, but at the same time to recognize the most creative efforts of our cities. So this is just a general overview of the special mentions and of the winning cities over the 5 edition, so up to 2020 of the Milan Pact Awards. As you can see, we collected up to 2020 370 practices, of which around 17 are best practices on this category, so on social and economic equity. Okay, if we can go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. So here you can see an overview of the special mentions and winning cities over the years, with some example from, for example, the one from Mexico City with the community dining rooms program, where they created these dining rooms all over the cities, around 500 dining rooms that not only provide healthy and nutritious meals at an affordable price, but at the same time they ensure decent employment for the most vulnerable. Or, for example, the one that won in 2019 in Italy with the women's producer markets. This project moved from the need of women considered as the most still as one of the most vulnerable categories of the society, highly dependent on women and on their families and on their husbands. So there was a need for them to be more independent. That's why the municipality not only provided them the infrastructure to start their work, but also technical support. And thanks to this program, around 600 women were able to get their stand in the producers markets, in 9 producers markets all over the cities. So these are just a couple of examples in general from all our edition of the Milan Pact Awards. Now we can go a bit more in depth with the practices from Europe. So as Filippo mentioned, we have 2 cases, one from Bergamo, which is like a city in the northern part of Italy. This one focused mainly on the action of rearranging school food programs. In particular, the city has been working over the years with a catering company, but since 2021, the catering company decided to commit itself to like a greater sustainability, implementing a series of action in order to address social injustice, integration, but also a number of urban challenges. So within the first of all, the catering company, the bread that is given to kids in school canteens comes from a bakery that is located within the prison facility. So this is has of course the aims also to give a second chance to inmates, but at the same time to overcome the social stigma that there is towards prison. Another action was that 100% of the produce in school canteens comes from a social and organic farming association that is committed to help the most vulnerable and disadvantaged people, offering them jobs every year. Another action is that the catering company has provides 60 free meals a day for low-income kids whose family cannot afford to buy them a nutritious meal. And last but not least, they also are able to recover over 100 uneaten meals that are then distributed to the social canteen of the city. So as you can see, they are at the same time tackling and addressing different actions. And we just mentioned the indicators 20 as one of them, but of course, they are addressing different issues. Then if we can move on to the next one. Thank you. So then we have this practice from Paris. So of course, since the pandemic, there was of course a need to integrate, there was a need to help the food aid structure of the city, but at the same time to help like the local economy. So what Paris did was to integrate the sustainable food produced by local farmers in the supply of the food aid structure of the city. So what they decided to do is to purchase 5 tons of fruits and veg per week from small farmers, and then distribute all this produce to the 15 association, share kitchen and solidarity grocery stores of the city. So with this project, they created new synergies between reducing inequalities, but at the same time supporting local farmers, and that's the local economy, and protecting the environment. So as before, they are also tackling different actions because they are ensuring food transfers, they are promoting decent employment for the local farmers, and they are supporting local initiatives. So again, here we can see that they are indicator 9. We can mention indicator 19 as one of the to measure their actions, but they are of course tackling more than one issue. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Serena. Now I think it's time to continuing the presentation from best practices from Europe, and we can move. I will stop sharing the screen. And it's time to give the floor now to Andrea Magarini, which is the director of the food policy of Milan, that will talk about the food system. Andrea, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope that the screen works well. One second. Okay, so thank you very much, and good morning to all of you also from my side. And I want to show you our experiences in the framework of the social and economic equity recommended actions related to food planning in case of emergency. And so all of these experiences come from the period started in the period of a pandemic and now are still opening. So here are the different actions that we develop together with all the associations, civil society organization, grassroots movement, and you can see some logo behind the screen that try to share the quantity of the different organizations that work with the municipality for providing access to healthy food for vulnerable groups. So in general, we divided our efforts in this category of a Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, recommended actions, working on food losses, food aid, and food vouchers. And we try to have actions that starting from the lessons learned from the previous one. And by doing this, we develop new knowledge within the municipality and new capability to be able to answer to new needs of new kind of emergency. So we started in March 2020 by implementing a food aid system that will provide weekly a food parcel for family in needs. We support about 20,000 of people in needs for 4 months. We develop 10 different apps in our cities that are the blue dots, plus 3 logistic center that are the red one, in which we organize the entire supply chains. So we stock all the food that we purchase, that we procured, and then we move in the hub and finally to the family. This system was based on 84 municipal employees that were reconverted to work in this system, and is fully centralized by the municipality that take the role of coordination of everything concerning food transfer for family in needs. In this system, here are some other data of the impact of this approach. We try also to mix the food aid system with food vouchers, so family card, in which the different family can go directly in the retailers, supermarkets to purchase their food. And we connect the database of the food vouchers with the database of food aid in order to be able to achieve our goal to support the high number of family in the same period, in order also to not overlap the targets. In this way, we support with a family card of 800 euros per each family, and we catch 80,000 people with the vouchers. And this system is already ongoing. In December 2020, when we suspended the activities of different apps, we organized an extra food aid supply for 42 charities, so 42 organizations, civil society organizations, that have more requests of food aid. And so the family, the organization that were more requested, we try to support in order to have more food in their stocks. And was very, very appreciated. Also, in this case, we centralized the supply chains by exploiting one of our logistics center that is managed by the Red Cross, in which we stock everything and we move directly to the warehouse of the different civil society organizations. Finally, in 21 and in 22, we develop a new food aid system, not managed by the municipality, but to engage directly the civil society organization like food banks, like charitable and so on, that want to support the family needs, also working with the municipality. So we define a call for proposal with 700,000 euros per each year for 21 and 22. And we ask them to propose a specific project in order to distribute parcel, to have soup kitchen, or to have social markets. And in the slide, you can see how this system is spread all around the cities with the different places in which these associations are working. In our case, it's well spread in the different neighborhoods, and this allows us also to monitor in their data, because we establish a database in which all of them are sharing with us the data of the family in their targets, and so we can also try to understand how the food poverty in Milan are moving throughout the different years, starting from 2020. In addition to all of these, we try to have an improvement of food losses and waste redistribution, so food waste prevention, in order to have more healthy food, to increase the food parcel that was purchased with money. And so we connect to supermarkets, to retailers, and we have this local food waste stuff that maybe will be more presented in next webinar of this series. Finally, we try to learn from our experience internally. So we define 4 models in which that we know that are present in our city, and that we want to support and promote, that are soup kitchen, food aid, so parcel, emporium and shop are social market, in reality social market, and food vouchers. For all of them, we try to define the model in which the fluxes of food aid, money, food losses are connected, in order to share to all of our colleagues internally of the welfare department and also externally to our partners, how these fluxes of money, food, and food losses are moving in all of these 4 different models, plus the number of infrastructure based on all of these models. So 11 soup kitchen, 174 third sector organization, 4 emporium, and for the voucher, we have an infrastructure because we deliver directly to people in needs the family card. Is a way in which defining this model, you can understand more in detail your infrastructure and also support internally knowledge. We try also to map all of these infrastructure in order to have, again, also a geographical information of our food policy. And for instance, food aid are the more spread all around the cities, the distribution of food losses again, and social canteens and kitchen are less presented. But again, is also important because when you have a specific needs in a specific neighborhoods, you can open this kind of map and go throughout them by understanding what are your solutions in that specific neighborhoods that you can exploit to answer the specific needs that you have. We try to have also a similar approach also at metropolitan scale, that is the boundary of the metropolitan area of Milan, by trying to map again also all the different civil society organizations that are also promoting similar activities in the other municipalities nearby Milan. And we discover that in in the immediate surrounding of Milan, so in the municipality that are very closer to Milan, there are the more presence of this kind of infrastructure. But this allow our municipality, our deputy mayor, to work also with our metropolitan administrations. We try to co-create all of these solutions by engaging and involving shareholders and stakeholders. So mayors and deputy mayors, director of a different department, officer, team, unit, some of our municipal agency, for instance, the wholesale market, allowing us to exploiting their food losses of fresh food, so vegetable one, the municipal agencies of school canteens, allowing us in transport, everything, plus third sector organizations, civil society organizations, food companies, university foundation donors, and international players. So it's a way in which together we are trying to work to develop this new initiative. And now we are drafting a joint action plan that in reality already is implementing, so it's not just a drafting, but we decided to have more internally than externally, because it's a way in which we organize also new action and we define a new approach to this effort. So I hope that this presentation will allow you to have a clear comprehension of how can be implemented the different recommended actions of the Milan Pact in the field of social economic equity. And now I leave the floor to Filippo to follow the training. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thanks a lot. You provided with the Milan action, let's say, different example on different recommended actions of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. I'm sure that this has inspired the participants. If you have questions, you might start writing them in the chat, and then we can go through it during the Q&A session. But now we move to the second part of the webinar, so with the experiences from Asia Pacific, and it's a great pleasure now to give the floor to Lauren Flirty, that is a strategy advisor of the of Sydney, together with Jamie Loveday, that is the program manager of the Food Lab in Sydney, to present this very interesting and innovative solution that creates good food work in the urban food system. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Filippo, and good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to our friends in Milan. As Filippo mentioned, my name is Lauren Flaherty, and I work as a strategy advisor at the City of Sydney, which is in Australia. So I'm really pleased to be sharing this presentation with you about Food Lab Sydney with my co-presenter, Jamie Loveday, who is from Food Lab Sydney. And also I'd like to acknowledge my colleague Rebecca Martin, who's on the call, and also I've seen some City of Melbourne on the call as well from Australia, but it's a wonderful opportunity. So thank you to the IURC and also Milan for having us on tonight. And I'll just check, Jamie's going to share the slides, share the screen. So he looks like it's coming now. In Australia, we actually often begin our presentations by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land. And the traditional owners in Australia are the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So tonight I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation as the traditional owners of the lands of the City of Sydney, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Through this policy training, I've heard many cities talk about the importance of stakeholder relationships and partnerships as part of your work in sustainable food systems. And I actually think the partnership between the City of Sydney and the University of Sydney that we're talking about today has been very strong with this project. And it's kind of great to demonstrate that tonight in relation to the goal of social and economic equity in the Milan Pact. And tonight we're talking about Food Lab. And Food Lab is a food business incubator that helps food entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs from different social and economic backgrounds to gain the skills, training and networks needed to launch a successful food business and to increase the inclusivity of our food system. And so tonight we'll be providing you with some context in relation to the City of Sydney's goals and objectives and our role with this project. And Jamie will provide you some information on how this program was delivered, because it was actually Jamie that delivered the program during the pandemic. So if we just go to the next slide, where this all began was in 2018, the City of Sydney actually launched its first social sustainability policy and action plan. So Sydney had traditionally had very ambitious goals in relation to environmental sustainability and lowering greenhouse gas emissions to address climate change. However, this was the first time we had a major policy and action plan that addressed social issues. And this plan actually included a key objective around reducing food insecurity in order to achieve an inclusive city. And it was following the launch of this policy that the City of Sydney began speaking with the University of Sydney, which is a leading academic institution, about the potential for a food incubator pilot program to address issues such as equity, inclusion, and social and financial and environmental sustainability. And we might just go to the next slide. Thanks, Jamie. So the city then actually went on to provide grant funding over 3 years, and it's through what we call our Knowledge Exchange program. It's a grant program. And that actually amounted to 120,000 Australian dollars over 3 years between 2019 and 2021. So, but as well as providing some of the funding, so the project needed funding from other sources as well, we actually worked closely to help recruit the participants for the program and promote it, as well as learn from the outcomes to inform our future food policy development. City of Sydney doesn't have a food policy yet. Some of our elected representatives, our councillors, I think one of our deputy mayor was very passionate about the program. And being a partnership with the University of Sydney, the City of Sydney was very keen to understand the academic research outcomes from the program. This was very exciting because Food Lab actually had an academic research team embedded in the program, monitoring all the outcomes from the participants. So now I'm going to hand over to Jamie, and he'll talk to you about how Food Lab actually did promote employment, as Filippo mentioned, as well as participatory education, training and research, and network building, which really aligns with Action 16, 18 and 19 in the Pact. So thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Lauren. Hello, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. As Lauren mentioned, I'm the program manager of Food Lab Sydney. I would also just like to quickly acknowledge that I'm coming to you from Garigal land on the sandy northern Sydney. Just acknowledging that Garigal country is sacred, sovereign and paramount to Aboriginal Australian peoples, and I'm honoured to share the land with them. It's a real honour to also share the program with you today. It's a program that is really close to my heart, and one that I've had the pleasure of watching grow since just before the pandemic began. Which obviously came with its challenges, and lovely also to have so many amazing cities from Southeast Asia region, which I've had the pleasure of working with farmers across as well. But as Lauren mentioned, Food Lab is a organization that helps people start food businesses. Particularly, we focus on supporting those who may be marginalized from society. And I've got a list here like refugees and migrants, people from diverse backgrounds is what we're really interested in. And so we provide them with support networks and resources, skills and tools in order to actually launch or scale a food business. So that includes training, mentoring, and sales opportunities in particular. From the workshop side, we had, when we started, we began to co-create workshops with local experts from the food consulting space, but also what academics would call the practitioner space. So actual food business owners on the ground who are doing amazing things. So these workshops began to help support our participants in the program through business plan support and branding, financial and sustainability strategies. So what does it look like to actually not just be financially viable, but also to support local food systems, to understand where food comes from and how food may be grown in very different ways, particularly focused and biased towards regenerative agriculture, as well as the whole plethora that is involved in food sustainability, from waste to people's mouths as well. And we focus on the kitchen and culinary skills as well as food safety with our participants. From the mentoring side, we really focused on developing a really broad network of mentors, anyone from chefs to people who had a local butter company, to distributors, food consultants. And we know that when you go out to start a food business, the amount of organizations, from food safety consultants to labeling and packaging, it can be really overwhelming. So we have kind of helped to bring those resources into the one place by developing those networks. And then beyond that, as we kind of grew as a program, we began to be able to offer sales opportunities to our participants to actually sell their products through connections with markets or cater events, for them to run their own workshops to actually share their skills, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, but also to actually help build exposure and income streams as we grew in our profile and reputation, as we partnered with these lovely leading institutions such as Sydney University. So just to ground the program in an example, it's helpful, I find, to tell stories of our participants who are amazing and diverse. But I'm particularly struck by the story of Marla, who is a recent participant who just joined Food Lab a few months ago. Her dream has been always, since her dad ran his own restaurant, her dream has been to actually start her own restaurant. And within just a few months of starting the program, through the mentoring and the business development side of the program, it's really exciting to actually watch her launch her very first market stall that she did at Refugee Week just a few weeks ago. But now she's also planning her next markets, and just being able to kind of see our community come together to provide her not only with the intangible resources, but also with the financial resources to do so. And that is a really, really beautiful story. By the way, if you have questions about the program, please feel free to write in the chat bar. I'm very interested, and Lauren, I'm sure, will help me answer those questions as well. But yeah, since 2019, we've had 72 participants graduate from the Food Lab program. Just to give a snapshot, it's a really diverse program with 41% born overseas, and it almost, I think of the program like a melting pot of cultures, almost like the United Nations, but of food. So we'll have so many different cuisines, and there's so much learning. And this is the beautiful thing about food, and what we've found as an entrepreneurship program is food is generous. And so this industry, we find that more people are likely to give back to this program through that mentoring capacity, but people come together through that table. And that's where some of the greatest learnings have happened in our program. This program has been academically researched through the University of Sydney, who set out with a number of research goals to measure the effectiveness and the social impact of our program. And some really interesting, beyond the numbers, some really interesting learnings and outcomes from our program have been we've got 5 dot points here. We've got firstly, the demonstrated success of multi-directional strengths-based learning approaches, which is a very fancy way of just saying that the students in our program are not just there to get, or not just there to take things. They're actually there to give because they have knowledge themselves to give, whether it be on the cooking side or whether it be on the financial or the social media. So there's actually a two-way multi-directional learning process that goes on, which has made this program really powerful. People actually get more confidence to participate and to be a consumer in the food system. So as a program, we're actually teaching our students about where their food comes from, the politics of food, which, as many of you will know, is very complex. And so the confidence that participants have to actually be sustainable consumers in that system was on the rise. The development of the entrepreneurial mindset was a key feature that came out of this program. So what that means is people develop what we would call the toolkits to be an entrepreneur, to see opportunities in front of them, to invest in the right ones, and to hold back when there's something that is perhaps too risky. And so with that, coupled with marketing, branding, financial, operational knowledge, we actually find that creativity and entrepreneurship is a really powerful tool to drive food systems change. And the fourth and fifth points really kind of come from this growing demand, particularly during COVID, for business owners in Sydney, but I would guess the world, for support and guidance, and for mentoring. And this real notion of communities of care, of people asking the question of what would it look like if care was a central part of food systems. So just some stats as well. We've talked about this idea of network weaving, which is basically the idea of being able to connect not only the participants in our program, but mentors and distributors and all of the actors involved in the program together. We've actually been able to do that within 491 different community entities and individuals. And I do think that number has changed because that was upon the 3-year completion of the program at the end of 2021, and our program is continuing into this year. But yes, that is a really exciting product of the program. Just to show you some of the alumni, a lot of, particularly during COVID, that the program was challenging because we designed this to be an in-person program, particularly given that many of our entrepreneurs are marginalized, and I think that's a really powerful way of delivering the program. But we had to jump online as a program to deliver. And I think if we were one great thing is we were able to deliver and educate people on digital literacy skills, so using the computer. But food business was not for everybody. 64%, and this can include some of the entrepreneurs in the program, in addition to starting a business, but 64% gained further training, volunteer or an employment experience within a food business, because it's easy to say that I want to start a food business. It's much harder to do it. So we encouraged most of our students in the program to go and get further experience, either alongside or in addition to starting a business. But 39%, or I think the number was 43 businesses were launched through Food Lab, from catering to food trucks, market stalls, and artisan products that are stocked through our local supermarkets at Sydney. And then 7% of participants were actually scaling up regionally, which is really exciting. Today, it's really exciting to share with you all that we are growing as a program, though it's always a challenge. We have cohort 7 starting this year, and we're actually finding that we're switching to more a social enterprise model. So as we provide our participants with market opportunities and catering opportunities, we also take a small cut of the money that entrepreneurs make, just a small cut, so that we can start to diversify our revenue streams. We have a wonderful ongoing engagement with the City of Sydney, who really helped to incubate our program from the beginning and are providing us with continued support as to where to next, but also with Sydney University as well. Just on Monday, we catered a lovely event for them, which was really exciting too. We have continuous events where our alumni who have graduated are actually mentoring in the program and paying it forward. But then the big next step for Food Lab is actually to have our own kitchen space, to become, or to offer kitchens for many of our entrepreneurs, just to begin and host kind of pop-up dinners. So I think that's it. Yeah, so I think from our story, I think there's a Q&A perhaps now, but in short, Food Lab has been a really beautiful story rooted in this wonderful tapestry of history with Food Lab Detroit. And I think for us, it's been a really interesting journey of understanding the needs of our entrepreneurs and pivoting and changing as an organization through all the challenges of COVID-19 as well. But yeah, thank you so much. And I just encourage you to, check us out on social media as well. If you are really interested in getting in touch with us, I've just got our emails down the bottom as well. I might post that in the chat.
Thank you so much, Jamie and Lauren. I think your presentation was very insightful and also has transmitted the passion of the project. So it is also useful because, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a, let's say, perfect example of the how to use, let's say, the recommended action. So thank you so much. Before going to the Q&A, I saw that you are already exchanging some information with Maria from Melbourne. Hello, Maria, by the way. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Ginanjar, which is the head of the Food Security and Agriculture Department of the City of Bandung, that will introduce you the event that we are organizing in Bandung, the first Asia Pacific Regional Forum, with the support of the European Commission. So, Pak Gin, silakan.
Yeah, thank you, Filippo. Okay. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today we would like to share our international conference that carry the term improving city food security and creating future work through urban farming based on culture and technology. This moment is also part of the G20 and is connected to the Urban 20 Sherpa. As we know, the G20 summit is being held in Bali, Indonesia on November 2022. Facing the global food problem, Bandung, as a part of the world cities, take part in taking steps to overcome the problem of inequality in food access. One step that has been taken and has had a contribute impact is to implement a culture-based urban farming called Buruan Sae, Sundanese good, garden, healthy, natural, and economical. This movement is mostly carried out by communities in the city of Bandung, which currently have more than 300 spots spread across all urban villages. The issue of urban farming should also be a concern for the younger generation. The sustainability of food availability also depend on the regeneration process of food producer. Therefore, the youth movement in urban farming is a central issue to support the sustainability of the city's food security. Thus, the urban farming movement can be an alternative to create new jobs or future work. The objective are strengthening common awareness of the problem of inequality in access to healthy food that occur in several parts of the world. Second, encouraging the young generation to care and be involved in effort to achieve urban food security. Third, encouraging the joint commitment of G20 member countries and member of the Milan Pact to carry out urban farming and food waste reduction movement. Fourth, strengthening network and collaboration both nationally and internationally in realizing a food smart city. This outcome, Bandung recommendation for the governor of West Java as co-chair of Urban 20 to be presented in the Mayor Summit. Increase awareness and involvement of the younger generation in realizing sustainable urban food security. And third, city government in West Java and other city participating in the conference are committed to realizing a sustainable urban food system by carrying out the Buruan Sae movement. We will do for today the August 3rd till 4th, 2022. First day, place and venue in auditorium at this building Parahyangan Catholic University in Bandung. And the second day, 4th August, we do to site visit Buruan Sae. There are a lot member of Buruan Sae, but we take 2 or 3 place Buruan Sae, like Buruan Sae Sawargi, Pajajaran, Elsari. Also, we meet Food Security and Agriculture Department of Bandung. For the time we going to Saung Angklung Ujo is the for entertain, just for internet, or also Bandung City Tour. And this lot of speaker and various institution and expertise and invited as speakers from central government, local government, also from a lot speaker. Welcoming speak for from Mayor of Bandung, also government of West Java. Also, there is opening ceremony using angklung, mayoral session with MUFPP, panel session, lot of speaker, Ricolto, maybe Pablo also come, Bapenas, and also a lot community to urban farming. The organizer, the activity will organize Bandung Food Smart City team in collaboration with several groups such as universities, local or international NGO. Finally, we would like to invite all of you to come to Bandung. We offer the cities around the world to join the international conference, offline or online, in that time to discuss above important terms. We also offer one seat for the city to be speaker to deliver the city good practice concerning to the city food system. Yeah, that's all, Filippo. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Ginggin for presentation. In the meantime, we added in chat the link to get more information, concept note in the program, and now you will also see in the chat the link to register. The event is hybrid. We strongly recommend you to come in person, but if you really can't, and this will be a pity because it will be a great event, you can follow it as it is hybrid. So now it's time for Q&A, and also Jacqueline, I think you can break the ice by giving some information about the webinar Circular Economy that USC is organizing, and then the floor is open for questions. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Filippo. Basically, in summary, I just shared in the chat box that on the 28th of April, I had the good opportunity to be in Famalicão in Portugal to witness the ReFood implementation program. And I just wanted to share that short video with the audience. All the links are in the chat box, but basically I think what was inspiring was the for the people, by the people model, activating volunteerism, and embedding the SDG 1 and 2 within the community. I was also quite inspired to see how the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter could be, in the kitchen, working together as a team to address the poverty issues and the people or the families in needs, and at the same time simultaneously reducing food waste in Famalicão. So if I could share my screen, I would just show you that short 1-2 minute video. Okay.
You to get to know the core of ReFood in the city of Famalicão.
Conhecimento do projeto ReFood, daquilo que já se estava a fazer em 8 núcleos a nível nacional em 2014. E achei a ideia super interessante, que no fundo era, através daquilo que era o desperdício da comunidade, podermos apoiar quem mais precisa. E achei a ideia hilariante para aplicar em Vila Nova de Famalicão, ainda por cima que nós temos N de restaurantes e N de outras fontes de alimentos.
Há 5 anos que integro a equipa do ReFood Núcleo Vila Nova de Famalicão, sempre com o mesmo propósito. Juntos conseguimos acrescentar valor na nossa comunidade.
Estamos com cerca de 140 voluntários, estamos a apoiar cerca de 240 pessoas, estamos a servir entre 3.500 e 4.000 refeições por mês, ou seja, comida em condições de ser redirecionada para quem precisa e que, se nós não tivéssemos a fazer este trabalho, iria para o lixo. A frase combater o desperdício e lutar contra a fome, no fundo, sintetiza o objetivo principal. Ou seja, existe aqui um objetivo de responder às situações de maior fragilidade socioeconómica e que necessitam de um apoio complementar em termos alimentares. Existe aqui um objetivo também, no fundo, de unirmos a comunidade com um objetivo comum, de ajudar o outro, de termos esta noção de solidariedade. Existe aqui um objetivo ecológico, porque toda esta comida está em condições de ser resgatada e redirecionada para quem mais precisa, no fundo.
Nós, no núcleo em Famalicão, não temos efetivamente desperdício, porque aquilo que nós recolhemos ou é entregue às nossas famílias para serem alimentados, ou então é entregue a essa entidade chamada reciclagem orgânica, que posteriormente faz compostagem e o resultado é um adubo que serve para depois o cultivo de fruta e legumes biológicos.
Finally, I would like to present a company.
Thank you very much. That's all for me, Filippo. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Are there any questions? I see that Maria and Lauren exchanged some information on the chat, and then Tumakuru City also asked for some information. We will revert them by email with some information of some school canteen models. And apart from that, if you have any other questions about Milan, Sydney, or the event in Bandung, feel free to jump in. Thanks. Okay. So I don't think there are questions. So just to conclude, if you please can turn on your cameras, we can have a final picture with everyone, and then we can say goodbye. So please open your cameras and smile.
I'll count 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So we will send you the recording of the session plus the presentation, and also the concept note for the regional forum in Bandung very soon by email. So thank you so much. The next time we'll meet, hopefully in presence, will be on the 3rd of August during the regional forum in Bandung. The topic will be, as you have understood, the food production. So thank you so much to everyone, and have a good day.